Hello YouTube, what's up? Tutagamon here. In this video I'm going to benchmark Project Cars 6 on a single Radeon 7950 at ultra settings. This is a digital 60 frames per second. It is done on an external recorder, so what you will see in this video will be pure performance. As you can see, the system is idling perfectly right now, so it has nothing to do with the recording itself. I'm using a Core i7-860 which runs at 4 GHz. It has 8 GB of memory and the graphics card is a single Radeon 7950 Windforce 3 running at these clocks. I'm using the latest Crimson driver, but GPU-Z does not recognize it correctly. So let me show you the Crimson driver as well. Crimson latest version, okay, and that's it. I'm going to use fraps to gather frame rate data for this benchmark. So we can see in this file my previous two runs on the same system, but with a different card, the 5850 at high and the 7950 at high. There was a huge performance gap, as was to be expected of course, between these two cards, and now I'm going to benchmark the 7950 at ultra settings and we're going to see the result below. So let me launch a game. I don't know why that stupid icon does not want to show up, but it's not really important. No intro is needed. Let's go to the options and see what we got. Visuals are all enabled and at maximum settings, and the performance tab, which is the one that dictates the actual performance, is maxed out except these two, the anti-aliasing and the FXAA. Sub-pixel morphological anti-aliasing is at ultra and everything else at their maximum values. They do not go higher. Okay, so I'm going to benchmark my usual location, the Azure Coast stage 1, 31 opponents, sunny weather and the Apollo S. So let's see how the game works in these settings. I'm going to leave these guys move out a little for 6 or 7 seconds, okay, and now I can simulate the remainder. I'm starting the benchmark. Okay, this is the end of the benchmark. Let's see what the analysis shows. It performed quite well for ultra settings. CPU usage quite high on a single core, medium to high on these three. The rest must be the hyper-threaded ones, I think, I'm not sure. Frame rate and frame times lower during the first part of the benchmark, a lot of cars, higher during the end part of the benchmark where everything has settled. Frame times are decent. The GPU usage is mostly at maximum. We have some CPU limits at parts. CPU temps are okay. The CPU usage again. A lot of activity on all cores, even the hyper-threaded ones. CPU usage on average, but it's not important in hyper-threaded. Tests 4.4 gigabytes of system RAM used. CPU temp average okay. GPU temp okay. 1.1 gigahertz throughout the run. And memory usage, video memory usage at a little above 1.8 gigabytes. So did we see the frame rate result in fraps? No, I believe we did not. As you can see, even at ultra settings there was not much difference compared to the high, but of course in high we had more CPU limits. In any case, the game is playable in both settings. You can choose whatever you want. And let's see what FLA calculator reports. Project Catch. This is the file I want. So this time FLA reports 41 frames per second comparable frame rate due to the stuttering and the difference in frame times, etc. But let's see the analysis a little better. Again, we see how the frame rate changes from the first part of the run where the system has to draw a lot of cards and calculate a lot of trajectories, and it gets easier once everything has taken its place. Frame times. Okay, most of the frames were below 16.6 milliseconds, but we have a significant amount that is above that, again during the first part of the run. Obviously it gets a lot better later. Frame times chart again. Higher at first, lower during the end part of the benchmark. More stuttering, more variability at first, less variability later. And of course we have the donut, which shows 19.17 milliseconds average, but the comparable frame times according to the measurements is 24 due to the stuttering and the variability of the first and last parts of the benchmark. In any case, this is the end of the video, my friends. I hope you find it interesting. Thank you very much for watching and take care.